Welcome back, everybody, to CCDC 2012. In this next segment, we're going to be focusing on the CEO interviews. As it is for most organizations, if you have a massive compromise, you have to talk to somebody, don't you, Paul?
And usually that person is the CEO. So I'm told this year the team captains will be acting as the CIO, or Chief Information Officers. Costis will play the role as the CEO, and he'll be talking to each team captain to figure out why is the hospital that they're put in charge of running the IT systems for, why are they compromised, what are they going to do about it? In each of the first meetings, Costis will be giving each of the team captains or the CIOs a list of things to do. I need you to do X, Y, and Z. Write me a report which includes X, Y, Z. Then they'll all be going back and meeting with Costis. So it provides some great real-world experience as to the aspect of dealing with a computer security breach or a compromise, in that you have to have some people skills, you have to have some people management skills to be able to work with your executive management, disclose accurately what's happened during the breach, and disclose that. And the biggest mistake some of the teams make is they try to get too technical. Well, they compromised my MySQL server, ran an SQL injection script that gave them shell, and then copied the Etsy password file. To a C-level executive, that's not very helpful. So it's interesting to see how this is going to play out.
All right, so I think that we're going to be going to our first interview set.
Yes.
I think that it's going to be Breah from Capital College, the team lead, and Costis. So do we have a video feed down there on the floor in the auditorium?
Good morning. How are you?
Good, Breah.
Please have a seat. Breah?
Yes.
And you are from what hospital? Capital
HEC,
College?
Capital College, yes.
Capital College. Let me just find you, because I need to tell you, I'm the new CEO of the Collaborative.
Okay.
And there are 8 different hospitals, so I need to locate you on my complicated map here. Okay, I think I have you. Capital College, right?
Yes, sir.
Right. Breah, I only have about 10 minutes with you this morning.
Okay.
As a CEO, I don't have time to learn all the details about IT, but I do know that IT is vital. Before we start our interview, and it is an interview, I'd like to tell you just a little bit about HEC. We want healthy patients, we want low costs, and we want happy outcomes for all. And for me, it's profits. We need to make profits in this hospital. And I don't need to tell you that IT is very important to me. So thank you very much for serving us. I appreciate that very much.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
I've just gotten some reports, and I think it was Capital College that had some difficulties overnight. Can you tell me a little bit about what happened to our IT systems, please?
Yes, sir. Well, overnight when we came in this morning, we did realize that there were some intruders.
Intruders?
Intruders, yes. Physical intrusions. We found some malicious software in the form of a CD in one of our computer systems. We are pulling it out right now. We are in the process of doing some investigation. We've also found some malicious coding problems on some of our laptops, so we're in the process of writing up some incident response reports on that. We're creating some remediation activities so that we can follow up on it and make sure that they don't happen again.
So who found these problems?
Members of my team.
Members of your teams. That's good that you
Yes.
have people kind of looking out for these kinds of things.
Yes.
Now the important question, what's happening to our hospital? Are we up? Are we running? Can we bill patients?
We're in the process of coming up and running.
In the
Yes.
process of coming up and running.
Yes,
Boy,
sir.
I don't like that.
So we had some downtime yesterday, and
Are you up now?
we are up now with some systems.
With some systems. Which are the critical systems in your mind?
The critical systems are the databases that house the PHI and EPHI.
Are we
so
safe there? Are we secure?
as of now, we are safe there. We are in the process of backing those up, so we're going to have to revert to some backups
Breah, I
there.
don't like all this in the process of. Tell you what,
Yes.
I have a little bit of time
Okay.
before my private jet takes off again. I'm going to wait for about 3 hours.
Okay.
And I'm going to ask you to kind of, in your own mind, pick 2 of the most critical systems you have, and then write for me a very short memo. I hate long words. I hate long memos. Short and to the point.
Yes,
A
sir.
remediation plan. What are
Okay.
you planning to do for the 2 most important systems? Let me give you some reminders.
Yes, sir.
As you read your packet when you came in to take over as CIO of one of my hospitals. You were told that we're doing two things. We're trying to do something with electronic medical records, and we're trying to network your hospital with 7 others. So networking and database administration are key. At the same time, I have told you that profits are very, very important. I got to have that private jet flying.
Correct.
It's very expensive, so I got to have profits. So you have to decide which are the 2 most critical systems to satisfy both my insane desire for profits and at the same time.
So last night we did decide that we have 2 critical systems so far.
Let
Those
me
are going
hear
to
them.
be the Squid and the OpenGTS.
What is a squid? I'm not
Squid?
sushi
Okay.
here. Wait a minute.
It's not sushi.
I'm
It
not
doesn't,
interested.
doesn't taste that good, I promise.
All right.
So these are Linux systems.
Linux systems.
Yes. So we had 2 issues with Linux systems yesterday. So we have done a risk assessment and cost analysis, and we've determined that the risk of having those systems in their vulnerable state that they are outweighs the risk of reverting them and starting fresh today. So what we'll be doing is we're taking that hit on the risk, and we are, to save us time and money, going to start over and fresh today with those 2 new systems.
But you know, if you allow me as a CEO to say a few things,
Yes,
let
sir.
me ask you about time cards. I know
Yes.
that doesn't sound very important.
It is very
But if I
important.
don't know who's working for me, I
Okay.
can't bill my clients.
Sure.
Tell me about the time card system.
So we had time cards, and every day when our employees come in, we have their information, their first and last name, and when they come in, we have their clock-in time, and then when they leave, they have their clock-out time.
Yes.
And me as their manager, I will sign off on their time at the end of the day.
And is that system up and running right now?
It is. We have, I have a electronic format and a paper form I can bring for you.
All right. And the last thing, I know that we've been trying some new medical dispensing stations.
Yes, sir.
I heard a report, in fact, it's somewhere here, that we didn't do so well yesterday. People weren't able to find meds. What's happening?
So we had some issues with our med stations.
Issues. Who was responsible for those issues?
I am.
And you're still in the payroll.
Yes.
So how were you going to justify your existence?
So today, this morning, actually right before I came in here, I was reconfiguring the physical security on there. I'm installing 2 double-layer physical security measures on the box. I will be taking inventory and comparing it to last evening's inventory, and determining how we are going to replace that inventory, contacting vendors to get new inventory replacements.
All right. There's one last thing. There's something called HIPAA.
Yes, sir.
I don't expect you to know what it stands for. Do you happen to know what it stands for?
I could try.
All right. Has to do with records, doesn't it?
Yes.
Portability and privacy. Health information, portability, and privacy.
Okay.
Let
New
me
part
tell
of
you
it.
that lawyers are hanging on my tie,
Okay.
wanting to sue me for everything I got if I don't make sure that my records actually absorb everything and more that HIPAA requires. Tell me a little bit about HIPAA compliance. Are we compliant today? Are our records safe?
Yes, our records are safe. What we're doing to comply with HIPAA laws is installing group policies. So we're putting pretty much a blanket on our system where it's going to lock down the accounts, account logins, require administrative
Is
privileges.
that system working right now?
As of now, yes, we have the group policy on there from last night. So yes, that is.
Okay, Breah, I'm going to have to double check though with my chief technology officer,
Okay.
who kind of runs shot over everything. So
No problem.
he's given me some lineups here, and I do
Okay.
see that there are some negatives that have happened.
Yes, sir.
Ambulances. We've got a
Ambulance.
CAD system going
Yes,
to
sir.
dispatch ambulances. That's the last thing I'm going to ask you, and I think I've had it. I need to take a break. Tell me a little bit about our CAD system and how that's working.
So that was one of the main systems we did have issues with yesterday.
Issues, okay?
Issues, which basically we were unable to configure it, and we did not put any.
Did you have enough people with expertise to do that configuration?
Yes, sir. Our problem was when we first came in, our network was already penetrated, so a lot of our time and skill and workforce was spent
So I have no
on.
ambulances out there in the
Yeah,
street?
we have no ambulance as of
All
right
right,
now.
tell you what,
Yes, sir.
in addition to the memo I asked you for the 2 most critical systems,
Mm-hmm.
do me a favor, write me a quick memo. that I can take to the Human Resources Department and see whether I can help you a little bit plug the gaps in your staffing patterns. I
Okay.
think you need more people.
I agree.
Those are the 2 memos I want back from you in 3 hours.
Yes, sir.
All right, go away, make it happen.
All right.
And remember, I don't like sushi.
I'll remember that.
All right, bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for your time.
Right.
Appreciate it.
Well, that was kind of interesting. Everything was going well right up until the point she didn't know what HIPAA was. And I
And,
think
well, and she mentioned squid, which was
Yeah.
interesting. And a C-level executive, when you mention squid, they think raw fish.
Yeah.
When you mention squid to technical people, they think a very extensible proxy that runs on Linux.
so. Let's try and figure out which thing she did right, and which things could have definitely been improved. The first thing that she did right is she was very, very, very poised as far
She
as
was
talking.
poised,
with them.
polite,
Very
respectful,
polite, and of course,
well-spoken.
she had a plan. More importantly,
Yeah.
for a lot of the
Yeah.
big things that were going down.
Whether her plan is going to work or not doesn't matter. You go into an executive's office with a plan.
Exactly. BS
And as long
gets
as
you
that
very
plan is
far.
not panic, you're in pretty good shape.
Doing good.
Well, you're off the right foot.
I think we have the next one from Howard Community College. We have Brian Taylor as the team captain. Let's take a look and see how he does.
Hey,
Hi,
what's your name?
Brian.
Brian. Have a seat, please. Please don't mess up my day. Brian, my name is Dr. Toregas. I'm the new CEO for the whole Combine, 8 hospitals. So you pardon me if I don't know who you are. Brian, what hospital are you with? Are you with
I'm
Howard Community
Howard
College,
Community
perhaps?
College.
Okay. So let me just find you here because I got so many hospitals I have no idea coming or going. Okay, I found you, Howard Community College. Very good. Well, Brian, before I ask you some questions, because I've had some reports which I don't like. I had to take my private jet to come in here this morning because apparently lots of bad things happened last night. But let me make sure you understand the business end of the proposition.
Okay.
I make a lot of money, and I need to have profits in this hospital chain. You are an indispensable part of that chain. I need you to be up and running, and you should feel free to come in and ask me things when you think that my ability to make money, to keep patients happy, and to keep costs low is threatened. Understand that?
I understand.
All right. So now I got a call late last night, which made me run to the airport. They said we were somehow intruders got into Howard Community College.
That's correct.
Okay, so slow it down because I got a little bit of problem with my heart. Tell me exactly what happened and how bad are things?
Well, when we came in this morning, we noticed that our workstations had been physically tampered with.
Uh-huh.
Power cords strewn about our base of operations, and some of the systems had different passwords than what we left them with.
Huh.
So in the last hour or so, we've been working to restore those systems.
What kind of systems are we talking about here? Are the systems that impact the hospital's
These
ability to?
are the
keep
systems
operating?
that we're using to connect to the hospital systems.
Uh-huh.
We are working to restore those, and so that we have a number of sites where we can tap into the hospital system, so we can assess what's
Okay,
going
so
on.
break it down for me. Break it down for me. Am I able to find my patient records today, right now?
As of right now, we do not know if the record system is up. We are still analyzing.
You don't even know if the record system is up?
That's correct.
Boy, that's amazing to me. How will you know? We get a pill, take the pill, you know if some knowledge comes? How do you know if a record system is up? Can't you just ping it and see if it's there?
Yeah, we can ping it. I mean, that would give us an indication that it would be up. But we're working on actually logging into the server so that we can view those
So no
records.
wonder I got a phone call from a doctor who said he couldn't get to a patient record. Is that why?
I'd assume so, yes.
Yeah. So how soon can you have this fixed? I mean, people are going to die on us. Can you
Yeah.
imagine the liability for that?
You
So
know,
what are you
to
doing?
death, yeah.
To remind me? What are you doing to fix
We're
that?
working as fast as we can to get our workstations in order so that we can properly see the extent of the damage
So
that
you have
has
actual
occurred.
physical problems, you're saying? The
Yeah,
workstations like aren't working?
Well, we have software problems
Uh-huh.
related to the tampering that was done last night.
Oh, boy. It's beginning not to sound good, I have to tell
I
you.
agree.
How about my ambulances out there? Can we bring patients in? How's the CAD system going? What can you tell me about the CAD system?
I'm sorry, I can't tell you much because we're still getting our our terminal systems up and running because we have to remotely log into those systems to view the data.
So in other words, you have no answers for me.
Yeah, that's correct.
You think I should keep you on the payroll?
That would be. I mean, I'd like to stay working.
Yeah. But are you doing something right now to help convince me that you need to stay on the payroll? For example, what are you doing to remediate the problems? You're saying we're working as fast as we can. So what does that mean? Tell me a little bit.
We're collecting software to essentially break back into the systems that have their password changed.
So you can't even get into the system.
Some of them. Some of them are
Are there
already.
any cheap ways out there in the open marketplace to break passwords?
Actually, yes, there
Yes?
are.
So,
We're gathering. We're developing one of those softwares we're actually about to use.
okay.
We have to get permission to access some.
Permission. If you need it, do it. I need those systems up now. You can ask forgiveness later.
Okay.
I will override anything else. Go do that. I need those systems up now. All right? All right. Well, I'm a little bit at a loss because I was hoping I could go back on my private jet now. Obviously, for Howard Community College, I either have to sell you off or give you a little bit of time. So I'll tell you what, I'm going to give you 3 more hours. In 3 hours, I want you to do a little bit better job as a manager that you've displayed to me now. I want you to write me a small memo. I want you to take the 2 most critical systems that you think you have to manage. And I want you to write me the remediation strategy for those systems. You think you can do that?
I think
Understand
so, yes.
remediation strategy as
Yes.
opposed to tactic? Yeah? All right, so I'm going to need that. Now, I told you 2 systems that are most critical. Let me help you. What's critical for me? I want healthy clients, understand that?
Okay.
I want low costs, I want high profits. If you can have my systems up, I'll make money and I'll make sure you make more money as well. You understand my priorities, yes?
Yes.
At the same time, I got the board of directors and they've got this EMR deployment, emergency medical record deployment. How are we doing on that? We're going to move? Are we going to have those records connected? You think
Yes.
in 3 hours?
I think so.
You think so?
I have.
You have faith in that?
Yes.
All right, so I'm going to write down here that EMR will be up in 3 hours. All right. I need one more thing from you, okay?
Okay.
It sounds like you may not have enough people. Why don't you write me a memo that I can go up corporate ladder and take to the Human Resources Department? If you think that you could have used more people, more hands on the keyboards, more hands on different new products, write me a small memo. Now remember, I don't like long memos, I like short memos. But write me a memo that I can take to Human Resources to say, Howard Community College needs desperately some more help. And here's where they need it. Here are the skill sets they need, or the titles they need. You think you can do that?
I think so. Yes.
So I'm asking for 2 things in 3 hours. You think you can execute and write me 2 memos in 3 hours?
Yes.
All right. Anything else that you want to tell me about this morning's activities and response? I got a couple more questions, but tell me if you have something to tell me. Anything I can help as a CEO?
Well, you already addressed the manpower question. Really, I think our and also the skill sets, but also the main deficiency is we don't have enough hands on deck to cover all the systems. There are some systems that are not documented as much as they could be, so we've been studying them and trying to.
I know documentation is hard, but that's very important to be able to stay up with it. All right, Brian, I got to go.
Okay.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Be back in 3 hours.
All right, I will. Thanks.
All right, that was interesting.
I
Very-
think
very
to
different.
our people that are running the set, you may want to swap that chair out because I believe he wet himself.
Yeah, I think that was a really rough
That was
session.
the look that he had on his face anyhow.
So a couple of quick things about that last session. It's never good whenever the first thing you do is knock the microphone over or knock something over on the CEO's desk. It's not a good thing.
that could have been liquids.
The other thing is body language makes a big difference whenever you're talking in these situations. For example, if you notice, his hands were very much in his lap, and he also kept biting his lips together, kind of like,
And he was from Howard University?
yeah, and they're
Which is
currently in last place.
as
So
of
we'd
this
expect a really hard series of questions. But I
Yeah.
also believe that Costis is still being very nice. He's giving the teams an out, basically by saying, do you need more people? This looks like you may need more people. That is something that you almost never, ever hear whenever you're dealing with CEO. They want to know how you can do it cheaper, faster, with fewer people. All right, let's go back to the next one. Who do we got here? We got Corey with James Madison, who's currently tied for first place. Let's see how they handle it. Let's go to the auditorium.
And I think you're from James Madison Hospital, is that right?
Yes, sir.
I have this, I just took over this job, Corey, and
Okay.
it's complicated, let me tell you. I got 8 different hospitals, and you're all over the map. So, okay, I've just found you on my corporate kind of asset map.
Okay.
I didn't want to be here this morning.
I understand.
I really didn't. I had to take my corporate jet last night because I got a call that there were some issues at James Madison Hospital. But before launching into this, I think that you and I need to have a relationship. You're the CIO of one of my most important hospitals. I think that if HEC is going to survive, we need low costs, we need high profitability, and we need happy patients. And no lawyers, please, no lawsuits.
Okay.
All right? You know, you've heard about HIPAA?
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
I'm going to ask you about that because I don't want any lawsuits.
Okay.
All right, so in order to accomplish this vision of HEC, I need you to be up and running 24/7. Now, if I understand right, this memo that I got, we have some problems.
At the moment, yes.
And there were some problems last night, and they're now continuing. So, Corey, just understanding that I have a difficult kind of heart problem, and I don't want any palpitations. Give it to me easy.
Okay.
How bad are things, and what are you doing?
Well, things right now are, well, they're kind of good and bad, right? Our main systems are up and running, but the problem at the moment is the outward connections are not functioning as expected.
Our connections.
Yes.
How do we expect them to connect,
Well,
basically, right?
Right, exactly.
So we have no connections.
Yes, sir.
Don't sugarcoat it.
Yeah, so that's the current problem, is that's going on right there. The systems at the moment are doing pretty well otherwise, so at least internally, everything is good.
Okay, so when we're not connected, that means the other 7 hospitals of the HEC enterprise don't see us,
At the
right?
moment.
At the moment. All right. But internally, things like timesheets, are they going?
Timesheets currently are not.
Are not?
No.
Oh, how am I going to bill my customers if I don't know who's working?
Right on. So right now, that is one of our priorities for our system administration staff. We're definitely focusing right now on getting that up. We know that was something that was set as a priority yesterday.
So how do you establish priorities?
It's kind of sort of my responsibility as the team, as the CIO. So that is sort of where I've been. Keep a checklist, making sure we're kind of following up on what we need to do.
Remember what I said, high profits, low
Definitely.
costs, happy clients. Those are important to me. Do they match up with yours?
Definitely.
All right, all right. So continue then.
Okay.
No connectivity,
Correct.
no connectivity. We can't run the timesheets right now.
Right.
What about my ambulances out in the field? How's the CAT system going?
That is running as
Oh,
normal.
good. All right, so I can bring in I can bring in my cash cows.
Yes, sir.
All right, all right. No problems there?
No,
Reported?
not with that particular asset at this time.
Okay, so now let's move over into the data administration side, the
Okay.
EMR system.
Sure.
I got a corporate board of directors that is on my tail about this EMR upgrade.
Right on.
Tell me, where are we? Are we functioning?
The system is up. It is
The system
functioning,
is up.
and we at this moment we feel at least somewhat confident that it is secure and to the extent of following the HIPAA rules.
I
and
like you. I think
regulations.
I'm going to keep you for a little bit longer. Very good, very good. All right, so the last thing I want to check up on is new users. Are we able to bring on new users as the requests come in?
Yes, we did have some difficulty yesterday, but at this time we are able to do that with no issue.
Okay. So basically, the only problem we have is nobody knows we exist.
At the moment, yes,
Yeah,
and we are working on that right now.
we are working on that.
Yes, sir.
What's your expected time to resolve?
Pretty soon. I mean, it's definitely something. It's obviously our top priority. We want to make sure we are communicating with the other hospitals. I know that my team is working very hard on it at this time. I caution to give it an exact time, but I definitely, obviously, will have it resolved, in a very short period of time because we feel it's a very important asset to the company as a whole.
Well, I'm almost comfortable to kind of leave the hospital and go somewhere else, but I think I'm going to stay. I'm going to stay.
Okay.
And I'm going to ask for you to come back in 3 hours.
Okay.
What I want you to do is give me a memo
Okay.
of remediation strategy for
Okay.
the two most critical systems.
Two. Okay.
Two of the most critical systems.
Sure.
Give me a strategic kind of map. I like the way you talk, so I think you're going to do well. But try to give me like the strategy that you're going to use on the two most critical systems, the highest priority.
Okay.
I think I've given you my priorities, haven't I? Wink,
Yeah,
wink.
definitely.
Yes? All right, so we'll see what you come back with. But let me ask you one last question.
Sure.
Staffing-wise,
Yes.
I've been around this for a long time. You know, I didn't used to run hospitals. I
Right.
ran toy stores.
Okay.
But it's the same business, things in, things out.
Sure.
And in the toy store business, I used to have to always hear from the CIOs whimpering about, I need more staff, I need more this, I need more that.
Right on.
I presume you're no different. You need more staff. So give me a little memo.
Okay.
If you've got some skill sets that are not here today,
Okay.
that you wish you had,
Okay.
so that these problems didn't escalate to the degree that they had, give me a little memo that I can shoot it up the corporate ladder to HR.
Okay.
Can you do that?
Definitely.
So these are two memos I want from you. I know you're going to be a busy guy. I know you're going to be running around for a lot of things. But two things I want. Identify your two most critical priorities, and let me have a strategic memo in terms of remediation. And then secondly, give me a memo I can take to HR. You know how they feel. You need to butter them up a little bit, tell them all about how good we are. But ultimately, there may be some areas I know that I've underfunded you in years past, so I want to make good on it.
Well, I appreciate the
Anything else?
Well, I do have one thing. The one thing we did notice is I feel that the security on the medical stations that we have had equipped at the store is definitely not up to par. We're actually pretty sure it's not HIPAA. It doesn't meet the HIPAA requirements you would expect. We actually physically can access the box with the actual physical medical station without actually touching it. Really, it's almost child's play. We have a plan to increase the physical security, but we do suggest a newer version or some new device in the future. Obviously, probably outside of within the next few months, because there are very well tested products out on the market that are certified for their respective groups, and I think that would be a good thing for you to look to invest in. Even though it is a small amount of money, I think it'd be something that would definitely help your
I
security.
like
out.
that. I like that. Why don't you just remind me a little paragraph at the end? Maybe I could take it up to the corporate board of directors. You want to come along with me?
Okay.
All right. All right. See you in 3 hours.
It's good seeing you.
Right.
I wonder what camera we're on.
And we're back. That was excellent. I thought he did fantastic. I mean, to identify that there's a problem, sell it to the C-level executive that, hey, we've got these medical dispensaries. Look, this technology is just not working. Here's why it's not working. Here's the regulation that it's causing us to be not in compliance with. Why don't you give me some more money so that we can buy new ones?
Exactly. He's
And
offering up
Costis was like,
solutions.
hey, yeah, you know what? That sounds like a great idea.
And
Great sell.
he says, here's a problem, and here's a solution. We got to move on. I was waiting for him to say, it looks as though these boxes were built by two guys in their garage, or something like that.
Well, the interesting part is Costis said, I used to be the CEO of a toy store, And now I'm the CEO of a hospital, and it's just like the same thing. Stuff in, stuff out. I failed
really
to see,
wish I could say that that was something we haven't heard before.
I failed to see how the toy store relates to the hospital.
Exactly. But no, JMU did awesome. They did an outstanding job. So we're going to throw it back to the auditorium for Millersville, where Travis is getting ready for his shred.
Yes. Travis, thank you for joining me. I've got a corporate kind of map here of all my resources, and Millersville University, I'm just trying to find you even. I have no idea where you are. Okay, I see you up here. Great. All right. Well, I didn't want to be here today, but I had to hop on the corporate jet and make the trip because I heard some bad things about last night. So before getting into the details, let me tell you how I feel about this corporation. I really love this corporation. It signs my paycheck, my bonus checks. It's very important that we survive. And I need you because IT is a very important part of the health system. Travis, there are only 3 ways that this corporation can survive: low cost, high profits, and happy patients. And what you do is vital. So I'm going to take you down the list of problems that you have, but I want you to try to relate them to those 3 corporate objectives because they're vital to me.
Absolutely.
With that as an understanding, I don't know what I got last night, but I got reams of information about Millersville being attacked and Millersville not being able to respond. So tell me a little bit, what happened?
Well, it was very obvious that we had a pretty intense physical break-in.
Physical break-in?
Physical
What,
break-in.
you had an army come in?
Well, someone pretty smart came in and
Uh-huh.
physically infiltrated our systems. So,
Infiltrated your system. Do you have to
right.
physically do that?
well, physically
Uh-huh.
makes it easier for them.
I
They
see.
can do a lot more physically. Well, they can do a lot remotely, but they can do a lot physically as well. So the whole physical aspect of it made it very easy for them to interfere with our work. So
Anything
they-
you could have done to prevent that?
We did. We have a decent amount of security in place. We change the passwords on the systems every night, and we.
Passwords have nothing to do with physical security, does it?
Well, the reason I said physical security is a little more serious is because someone with bad intent can actually use other devices that they bring with. They can actually use that to change our system passwords. So, in a sense, passwords really become quite low on the useful scale.
I'll begin to sleep, you know? You have to get to the point. So what's the point? What happened?
They broke into our systems and locked us out. So a lot of our systems at the moment we're currently unable to access.
At the moment?
Yes.
You mean right now?
Yes.
The systems are not working in Millersville?
We're unsure if they are actually.
You're not even sure?
No.
Oh, dear me, dear me. So should I keep you employed?
Absolutely, sir.
Why?
Because we're working very hard as we speak. My team, excellent team.
So you have a plan. You're doing something about
Oh,
it.
absolutely, sir.
So when are you going to be up again?
As soon as possible.
Today, tomorrow, the moon?
Absolutely today, sir.
Yeah, absolutely today. All right. So what other systems, what kind of systems have we had problems with? Can you break it down for me?
Sure. I mean, just as a reference, yesterday, all of our services were up and running.
Yesterday was yesterday.
Yesterday was yesterday.
But
I agree.
today, boy, oh boy, do we have problems, huh?
Yes,
So you don't even know if you're up, you're telling me.
correct.
Some machines are blinking, but you don't know.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
We do have a plan for how to fix this problem. First thing we need to do is get our systems able to log in. Right now, the networking situation is pretty bad, so all my team is working on that as
What
we
does it
speak.
mean in terms of doctors? Can doctors get access to patient records right now?
It's possible,
It's possible, but you don't know.
correct.
Wow, wow. I smell lawsuits in the air. Help me kind of feel that
We
I'm
realize
not going to
that.
get sued.
we're absolutely aware that our current situation is definitely
Is there anything I can do as a CEO to help you?
possibly, if we'd be able to access any sort of security footage from the hospital, stuff like that would be a very big help. I'm not exactly sure. I know we have night shift, and I'm not sure exactly what that could find for us. But if we could figure out exactly who did this, obviously, we could bring it up faster.
Could you need more people? I'm beginning to think, I'll check with security to see if they can get you some copies of videos, but how about on the personnel side? Why don't you do this? I'm interrupting your technology flow because I'm bored with it, to tell you the truth. That's what you get paid to do, not for me.
I understand.
But maybe you can do something. I'm going to stay here for a while because I'm not feeling comfortable.
I understand.
I'm going to stay here and I'm going to breathe down your neck. In 3 hours from now, I want you to come back to me. Write me a little memo that I can shoot up to the human resources people and say, Millersville's struggling a little bit. Maybe they need more people. But I can't just tell more people. I need to know what skill sets don't you have now that could help you. If you had a magic carpet to bring on some more people, some more capabilities, some more skills, what would they be? And how would you justify them against the priorities that I gave? Can you do that for me?
Absolutely, sir.
So you're going to do me that memo. All right.
Will do.
Well, let me now go into a system that's of particular interest to me, our ambulance system. Our ambulance system is critical because they bring those cash cows, the patients, into the hospital so we can fix them up and build them.
Yes, sir.
How are the ambulances doing? Are we doing CAD?
As of yesterday, the CAD system was up and running. As of today, I apologize, I cannot say whether or not it is up or running.
We don't even know again. So yeah, I mean, I can see this love for the past, but it's not going to help us today. Yeah.
Absolutely, sir.
So a remediation plan is obviously very much necessary. I'm going to need your help here, Travis. I'm going to need a remediation plan, but because I know you're busy and you're busy kind of managing your team, I'm going to try to be sensitive. I want you to pick the 2 most critical systems that you think are important to me. I want you to find 2 priority systems that are important to me.
Okay.
I don't know how you do that, but I told you some secrets. I said I'm motivated by profits. I'm motivated by low cost. I'm motivated by happy patients and healthy patients. So find the 2 most critical systems under my priority system and write me up a quick remediation plan, what you hope to be in a position to do. And if, hallelujah, you've already solved it, you can proudly say that. Don't tell me about yesterday, because yesterday doesn't work for me.
I understand.
It's nice to write home about, but doesn't do anything for the CEO. Well, I don't want to get you off on technical stuff. Anything else you want to tell me?
Just that we're trying very hard, sir, and we're working very hard to solve the issue for you.
All right. Okay.
Thank
Thanks.
you very
We'll
much.
see you in 3 hours.
Yes,
Don't
sir.
forget.
Yes, sir.
It's going to be 30 seconds, Tim. We're not on.
Sorry about the microphones.
Hey, we're back.
We're back. So that one, I think, is kind of articulating that we may have teams that are tied today, but there's going to be some differences. If you look at the way JMU did it, which was outstanding, in this one, there were some issues, right, Paul?
So I just wanted to point out 2 things. First and foremost, when you're talking to a senior executive or your manager about something that happened at work, unless you did something inappropriate in the office to one of your fellow coworkers, apologies usually don't mean anything when it comes to your actual daily duties in work. If you didn't do them, very quickly explain why you didn't and what you can do better. There's no room for, oh, I'm sorry. It's not really about feelings
No
at
one
that point.
cares.
The other thing is when someone asks you, when will your systems be back up and running? You want to give them a specific answer. And you may think it's a good answer to say, well, as soon as possible. And that sounds great. However, that's still just the same as saying, I don't know. You have to be specific and say, I will have the system up by noontime today. I will have the system up before close of business today. Just some piece of advice maybe for some teams that haven't gone yet. We're going to go back to the auditorium with our next victim, Andrew Rush from Radford.
Andrew,
Yes, sir.
my name is Dr. Toregas. I'm the new CEO for this hospital enterprise. I'm not here happily. I just came in last night on my corporate jet, which has to keep flying, you understand, so we need to have a good business model. And you are from Radford Hospital, is that right?
Yes, sir.
So I'm just trying to find you even on this map. So many hospitals that I have to manage, I don't even know who you are. Okay, got you, Radford. So I understand we had some problems.
Yes, sir.
So I want to find out about them. But before doing that, let me tell you what's important to me.
Okay.
What's important to me is profits for the hospital. Costs have to be kept low. Patients have to be healthy and happy. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
And your job is dependent on your ability to deliver those three things to me as a CEO. I don't usually make it an occurrence to sit down with the CIO and talk, so this is kind of special. I get bored very quickly, so you have to be very, very precise. I also don't love technology, so you gotta break it down for me. All right, so now, with that as an introduction, tell me what happened last night.
Well, last night, they changed.
Who?
I'm sorry.
Who's they?
Some attackers from outside.
Some
of our
attackers
network.
from the outside?
Yes, sir.
Wow,
They-
sounds like a science fiction story.
No.
Attackers from the outside. Anything more than that?
Well, I mean, we don't know specifically where the
Uh-huh.
origin of the attack occurred.
Okay.
We do know that they were able to gain access to our system and change some of the passwords to some critical systems that have locked us out for a little bit. We have regained
So they blocked
access.
you out for the little bit, so now you're back in?
We have gained access, and we're in the process of opening everything back up. So right now, our network and our systems are not accessible to the outside. But within the next hour, everything should be back up and running.
Within the next hour, let me write this down because you understand that I'm the CEO for the enterprise. I got 7 other hospitals, and they got to be able to see us. They got to be able to exchange records with us. Otherwise, the whole business deal is off. So as a consequence, I'm really worried about what I just heard. So in 1 hour, you're going to have that system up. Is that right?
Within the hour,
Within the hour?
yes.
In other words, 1 hour or less?
Yes.
Uh-huh. So are you willing to bet your paycheck on that?
Yes, sir.
Uh-huh, okay. I've been in other businesses where I've been reluctant to say that, but you're a brave man, Andrew.
Well, I have a good team, and I trust that they're doing.
So now, you've told me that we're not connected to the other 7 hospitals.
Yes, sir.
What else do we have?
Sorry to interrupt, sir.
Yes, sir. Oh, God. This is absolutely shocking. Andrew, I don't know whether we should terminate this interview. I've just been notified by my assistant that Radford Hospital just killed a patient because of inadequate and sloppy work on the IT team. So all of a sudden, all the nice things you've said about your nice team have just gone up in smoke. What in the world happened? Whose fault is it? How could it have been prevented? The newspapers are calling already. Oh my God. What are we going to do?
Well, unfortunately, we can't unkill somebody.
Yeah.
We can, however, go in and make sure that this doesn't happen again.
Do you know why this patient was killed?
I believe that we were not able to get the patient into the lab system in time for them to receive medicine.
So how many people are on your team?
We have 8 total.
How many people did you have on this poor guy's system?
We had one person, they were also working on maintaining or reconnecting the
God.
system to the outside.
Yeah, reconnected the system, schmistem. I don't know, Andrew. This is absolutely shocking. Because to me as a CEO, first of all, obviously I said happy patients and healthy patients. I didn't mean dead patients. Secondly, it's a matter of priorities. And if you had several systems I know to maintain, but obviously you got to go through some prioritization, don't you?
Yes, sir.
This is important. This is vital. So just killing off a patient or two, it can't be allowed. It's not we won't kill the next one. It's why did this one die? Are you in a position as a CIO to do some kind of a critical analysis of why this happened and to make sure that you do not get even close to that next time?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to need to clearly stay and do some damage control with the press here. Radford Hospital killing a patient is just not acceptable to me as a CEO. I'm going to need you to be with me.
Okay.
So what I want you to do is go back and write me a memo in 3 hours. I'm
Okay.
calling for a press conference in 4.
Okay.
In that memo, I want you to tell me why this patient died, what system failed, who was responsible, and what Radford Hospital and me as a CEO are going to do to make absolutely sure that this tragedy does not happen again. Can you do that for me?
Yes, sir, I can.
I need that. I absolutely need that.
Yes, sir.
This may be a simulation, but everything that the simulation presents to you is real. So I need to know why it happened. If it's technology, I need to know that. If it's
Okay.
human skills that failed you as a CIO, I need to know that as well.
Okay.
And speaking of human skills, I need a second memo from you.
Okay.
That second memo, perhaps you need it, is to the HR department. I'm
Okay.
going to go up the corporate ladder and I'm going to try to help you. If you've got some skill sets and some people that you wish you had this morning to prevent this from happening, let's ask them for it. So I need,
Okay.
as a second memo, a memo to HR. I'll send a memo, so do it for my signature.
Okay.
All right?
Yes, sir.
You understand the 2 priorities?
Yes, sir.
All right. Andrew, it's with a heavy heart that I tell you, go away, make sure that you assemble your team, discuss what just happened, make sure they understand the criticality, and also you should make sure that you understand how to balance priorities.
Yes, sir.
You know, some kind of a server being down for an hour is not the same as being unable to give medication to a patient. So that's going to be critical. All right, go away.
Thank you for your time.
I'll see you in 3 hours.
And we're back.
Well, that's just tragic. Sorry for that bad news, everybody, but the zombie apocalypse doesn't come without casualties. So how exactly did Radford kill a patient? You guys would probably like to know a little bit about that. Well, in the system, you have to actually move patients and give them the correct treatment. If you don't give them the correct treatment, you can kill them. In this situation, I do want to point out that Radford is in first for the number of patients cured. So they are one of the only teams that are actively trying to take care of their patients. Mistakes will be made, and I've got a feeling that Costis will bring that up during the next section. Other than that, how do you think he did?
I thought he did okay. He was holding his own, explained himself.
I think so. I think he did an all right job. He seemed very, very nervous to begin with, and he stayed with that all the way through, which is to be expected in situations like that.
A little nervous is okay.
And honestly, he could have handled the situation by honestly explaining what happened. Just say, this is what happened.
Here's the
Mistakes
thing.
were made.
If you go in there completely calm, cool, and collective and you're not nervous at all, they may take it like they don't think you're being serious. If you go in there and you're a little bit nervous, it shows that you care about the situation. So you need to be able to channel that nervous energy into talking intelligently to your upper management, which we'll see with mixed success our teams perform when they meet with Costis.
So I think that we're going back down to the auditorium. Who's the next team here, Paul?
Townsend is the next team. Andrea Mobley.
Hi. What is your name?
I'm Andrea.
Andrea, how are you?
Nice.
I'm Dr. Toregas. I'm the Chief Executive Officer for the hospital consortium of 8 hospitals. And I'm trying right now to go through all my notes and figure out who in the world, where in the world Towson Hospital is. And I think I've just found you. You're right here. So now I know at least where you are. Andrea, I wouldn't be here if it was my druthers. I'd much rather be basking in the sunshine of California. But I had to take my corporate jet last night and fly in because I got some bad news call. And that's what I'm going to ask you some questions about.
Okay.
But before doing that, let me just make sure that you understand the priorities of HEC. You are an employee of HEC. Towson Hospital is one of our 8 hospitals, and we're moving forward to modernize our health records. We want to make sure that we're interconnected well. So all 8 hospitals are very important to me. But finally, what do I care about? I care about profits, I care about lowering the cost of service, and I care about healthy and happy patients. Those are my priorities. Can you get behind those priorities with me?
Yes.
Yes? Well, I hope so, because you're my CIO, and I know that I can't run a hospital without IT. So you're very, very important. But that's where you come in now in terms of a negative light. Andrea, I'm not going to beat around the bush. I got a phone call, and that's why I'm here, that some terrible things happened last night and
Yes.
could be continuing to happen. So I want you to kind of give it to me slow, give it to me as happy as you can, but honestly.
All right.
What happened?
Well, I have a short write-up for you. At the beginning of yesterday morning around 9:30, our power supply was cut off. It took us about 40 minutes to get back up and running, but we did use,
Should I read this or should I listen to you?
I'm going along with it, so it's up to you.
All right, so I think I won't read it.
All right. So we used the backup power supply for the short time that it took us to get back up to try and limit downtime so we could continue taking patients and not lose as much revenue. After that, we got back up, so then we started re-securing our systems. There were a couple breaches throughout the day. However, we do not feel that any of our databases with critical information were stolen. We do believe that they were compromised, and we're looking into that today. We also, for giving out injections to patients that were coming in, there was a clock inconsistency. So unfortunately, we were unable to we could take in patients, we could admit them. However, we could not actually give them medication.
Oh, dear.
We're working on that. We've been working on that since we got here this morning.
Are the patients happy? I wanted happy patients.
They will be happy as soon as we can fix the problem, which we are working on very.
So until they get happy, are they what? Are they sitting in the chair? Are they 6 feet under? What's happening?
Well, nobody has died as far
Oh.
as
Let's celebrate for small things.
As of 5 p.m. yesterday, nobody had died, and as of this morning, nobody had died. We had a couple mutations, not preferred. However, we're doing the best we can to make sure that any new patients that come in can be given medication and cured as fast as
High
possible.
priority for me.
Yes.
You know that. You can imagine that. All right, so continue.
In addition to that, we also, like I said, we don't believe that our database, we believe that it was compromised, but we don't think that any critical data was stolen. Like I said, we're looking into that this
So what
morning.
does it mean if it was compromised but no data was stolen? Why would you compromise something and not steal anything?
We're looking into it right now. We don't know if they want to completely shut down our database or if they want to take all of our employees' information.
I've heard some stories where people go into a database and just hide for a while. Could that be happening to my database?
It's very possible that that is exactly what's happening.
So you're going to look into it, huh?
We have been looking into it. We are doing everything we can this morning to secure our network. Our firewall also was not compromised yesterday, so we are working on strengthening our firewall today in hopes to keep these malicious people out of our systems. In addition to that, we have also secured our power supply. After it went down, we went ahead and changed the passwords to everything. However, we could not restart to limit our downtime because we wanted to keep revenue coming in instead of losing another 20 minutes, which was critical at the time. So this morning, we went to go reset it. We were also shut down from power supply again. So unfortunately, that took another hour out. However, we're back up. We are back up. All of our systems are being secured. We're checking for any malicious code, making sure that, to the best of our abilities, that nobody is currently in our system. However, that's the best we can do at the moment.
Tell me about our emergency health records, electronic medical records system. That is up and running as of right now?
That is a database that I believe they have access
I
to, but
see.
aren't doing anything to it right now.
I see. Should we just flush it down the toilet and start all over again?
We do have a backup in about an hour. If we can't have a definite yes, they're in it, or no, they are not, we're going to just restore from backup. So all of that data has been backed up at the beginning of yesterday morning.
So you got some good good thinking people. I can appreciate that. What about ambulances? You know, we depend on ambulances to keep kind of bringing our patients, our cash cows, to the hospital. Are they running? Is the CAT system functioning right now?
As far as I know, yes. As of 10 minutes ago, it was running. Again, we're making sure that we don't have malicious people waiting in our systems to do something. That's, right now, our biggest priority is to try and keep everybody out so that we can secure it and then let them keep trying.
So it sounds like finding out who might be hiding inside our systems is going to be one of your top priorities.
Yes, it is. And giving patients their medications. We also, on our outside medical boxes, implemented a two-way identification. So in addition to scanning your badges, you had to know the passcode to a physical lock, combination lock. That was compromised last night. However, based on our inventory, they didn't take any medication. We've implemented a new lock today so that we can keep an eye on it in hopes that it will not be broken into again.
Well, it's beginning to sound like perhaps I could even leave, go back to California now, but I think I'll stay for a few more hours because there's this lurking danger that you've made me aware of. So, Andrea, I'm going to ask for you to come back in 3 hours and give me a little bit of a comfort feeling.
Okay.
But since you've given me a memo about yesterday's lineup, I want you to give me a different kind of memo this morning. I want you to go back and take two of your most critical systems and give me your remediation plan with some kind of comfort and hard evidence that I can then get on my corporate jet and fly away and shower you back with dollars because I think you're good. And at the same time, I've always believed in my CIOs and their need to have good people, and it sounds like you've got great people on your team. But if there are skill sets or warm bodies or hands on the keyboards that you wish you had today after the intrusions that happened last night, why don't we do a joint memo to the HR department?
Okay.
So make it from you through me to the HR department, asking for some special skills that you may want to have.
Okay.
Because I want to make sure that you have everything that you need for the go forward. I don't know, sometimes I never look forward to discussions with CIOs because they're kind of boring, but you've been very effective in your communication, so I appreciate that. Anything else you want to tell me?
At the moment, I've told you everything that we know. Like I said, we're going to do the best we can to make sure that we're not losing any revenue. We're keeping all of our patients getting in and out. Our employees' information is not compromised due to HIPAA. We do not want anything to get out to malicious people. And we're also going to, like I said, continue hardening our systems, making sure our network is completely secure.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
See you in 3 hours.
Yes.
Wow.
And we're back with a recap. I heard some very interesting things during that interview. I heard them say, we're doing the best we can. Now realize these students...
All right, so there's a couple of things that Paul was talking about. We got a dead mic situation, but she said a couple of things that are dangerous. First thing is we're doing the best we can. And the problem with that is it's not a plan. It's not touchy-feely. People don't care about how hard you're trying in life. You just got to have a plan. And it says, means, well, you're probably compromised, and you're still compromised, and you don't have a good strategy out.
If you're compromised and you come out and say you're doing the best you can, that's not the best you can do. You can do better by not being compromised.
Do you still have people poking you in the butt, Paul?
I do. Is my audio okay?
Is the audio back up, guys? All right. So we're going to keep going. The other thing is we're looking for, what's this, malicious code, but once again, no plan. So you can sit down at a computer system, you can go through a whole bunch of different files and different directories and libraries all day and not find anything. There should be a plan and strategy on how exactly you're going to go about doing that. And also taking notes is good. That is something very interesting. She's the only one so far that we saw taking notes copiously. A couple of you said, here's the 3 things I have to do, but she seemed to be capturing what he was saying and then regurgitating it back to make sure that she had the right plan going forward. So it sounds to me like we're about ready to go back down to the auditorium, and we're going to be dealing with UMBC. So we're going to have
Mark Warfield?
Warfield from UMBC. So let's go and see how Mark does this time.
Thank you for coming in.
No problem.
What's your name again?
Mark Warfield.
Mark, hi.
Hi.
My name is Dr. Toregas. I'm the new CEO for the 8-hospital consortium called HEC. And I have to tell you, I don't want to be here. And you probably don't want to be here either, because I'm not very happy right now. I was sitting in my cabana in California, and some guy called and said, UMBC Hospital has just crashed. And so I took my jet, came out here. I want to make some assessment of the damage. You're going to be my guy.
Okay.
I can't do it without you. On the other hand, I've got this uneasy feeling. So you're going to have to give me some good answers and some straight answers. To begin this conversation, I got to tell you that there's only one thing that keeps this hospital going, and that's profits. We got to make profits. Got to reduce costs. We got to have happy and healthy clients. All those things are important. And I know that you're kind of behind glass walls running computer systems, but I got to have my clients, the customers, happy. I got to have the federal government off my back. I got to have HIPAA requirements well understood. So, Mark, I'm worried because the phone call I got gave me all sorts of things. Team firewall down, ping failed for host server, tickets CAD down, ping failed for host server, open GTS down, ping failed for host server. Everything failed, failed, failed. Is your life failing? What's happening?
Well, we had kind of some connectivity issues with the firewall. We didn't have the right login from whoever previously did it. So we had...
What do you mean whoever previously did it? What does that mean?
The password that we had just wasn't right. So we had to restore that, so that's why that was down. But we got that reset pretty fast. So everything was good. And then what we did is we backed up all of the databases, so we had to bring those down first because we wanted to keep, just in case something happens, we wanted to keep all the patient information and all the confidential information secure.
Yeah, we certainly want that.
Yeah. So we basically backed all that up because if we back that up, if something happens, we can restore it and we won't have any lost revenue at all.
So you've lost me already. Is our systems up or down?
Our systems, as of right now, to my knowledge, are up. And we did have a couple of physical breaches, but to our knowledge, there hasn't been any lost confidential information or patient information.
So right now, my doctors can get to their records?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Can I dispatch ambulances through the CAD system?
I'm not sure. I haven't talked to the team member that's working on it.
All right. Because there are only about 10 different systems you have to protect. You should know at every moment of time what's happening in each and every one, right?
We've been having some hardware issues.
Some hardware issues.
We've been having some issues with the actual computers and having them to be able to connect to where people can access them. So we're trying to resolve that right now. But right now, the patient information, it's all accessible right now, to my knowledge.
I wasn't talking about patient information. I was
Or even
talking
the
about
doctor
CAD.
information too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I'm still kind of worried, to tell you the truth. How about internal functions? Time card system, is that up?
We were not able to get that up in time.
You're not able. You know what that means, don't you? That you're not going to get paid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is not.
So that's not good,
Yeah.
right? I mean, I like it. It keeps costs down.
Yeah, it keeps costs down.
Yeah. So
you can
are
keep
you
revenue up.
are you going to work?
Yeah. I mean, if it's my fault, so I mean, I kind of have to take responsibility. So I mean, I kind of have to just fault myself for it.
So everything that's happening around you, how do you establish some kind of a prioritization system? How do you know what to go after as a captain?
Well,
Payroll's
I
important,
think,
obviously.
Well, yeah, I think
your family will tell you that right
I mean,
away.
you said it yourself. Revenue is the most important thing, so you kind of have to do what affects the bottom line. You have to go through for what generates the most revenue. You have to do what you have to basically go through and always have up what patients go through, and also government regulation because you don't want to get fined for that.
No, I don't.
That's an easy fix.
Mark, some simple questions. So right now, for example, have we lost any patients due to negligence, or due to IT systems not performing?
Not to my knowledge.
Not to your knowledge. We've had no deaths in the hospital.
Deaths? Not to my knowledge, no.
Okay, all right. You sure about that?
Not to my knowledge, yeah.
All right. Let's talk a little bit about our ability to find other people through Active Directory. How's Active Directory holding up?
Active Directory, it was fine. We were having issues with it today.
Having issues?
Yes.
What kind of
It doesn't
issues?
seem to be wanting to come online.
Oh.
So we're,
I have to write this down to tell all my classes in computer science. Doesn't want to come up. Yeah?
so we're working on that right now. When I left, it was installing patches because we were patching the system because that's a really important system to have. So we want it as secure as possible.
So without Active Directory, you basically lost the ability to send messages to anybody. Am I right?
Yeah, I'm not sure if the actual services is running right now because I don't know if it was started before it started going through the installer. So I'm not actually 100% sure if it's up or
Mark,
not
I
right
keep
now.
on hearing this. I'm not sure, not to my knowledge. I want more facts. I'm going to have to postpone my departure. I was hoping to leave, you know. I was hoping to get some good kind of strategies out of you, but clearly I'm not getting it. So I want you to go away and give me something in writing. Between now and 3 hours from now, I want a memo from you. And I want the memo to address the 2 most critical systems that you think are of concern to me as a CEO. I think I've given you enough clues as to what's important for me. Pick the 2 systems that you think are the most critical and write me a short memo as a CIO giving me your remediation strategy. What are you going to do about them? And how are you going to make sure that they continue to run? And because I've worked with CIOs before and I know how you guys whimper all the time about needing more people, why don't you do me a second memo, and that's it, a second memo that I can send to HR, the human resources people, up the corporate ladder, and say, Mark is a good guy, but he needs more people, he needs more hands. But I can't just say that. I got to give him some qualifications, I got to give him some capability statement, I got to give him some skill sets that you wish you had. Because right now it sounds like you're a little bit overwhelmed. So I'd like to help you. I'd like to bring some more skill sets to the table. But I need to know from you. So write me those 2 memos. 1, a strategic memo about your remediation plans for the 2 most critical systems as far as I'm concerned. And 2, a memo to HR asking for additional help and in what area. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah. How would you like that?
In writing.
Printed?
Sure.
Okay.
All right, Mark, any questions you have of me or any statements you want to make?
No, I think that's it.
No. All right, go away.
All right.
Come back in 3 hours.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Nice meeting you.
Keep those systems up.
Okay.
All right, so I think that probably the most shocking thing out of that one was he said our Active Directory server is not up. But then he came out and said last night when we were leaving, it was installing patches. So Paul, what do you think may have happened last night?
Sometimes patches make things go horribly wrong, or the red team could have messed with their systems. I also noticed a few things that he said during the interview that I wanted to relay to folks that's a bad idea. On the list of words to avoid when talking to a senior executive in the company, the word kinda. First of all, it does not appear in the English language. K-I-N-D-A, not a word.
Not a word.
Avoid that word, because that really doesn't mean anything. It means whatever you say after the word kinda doesn't mean anything. And they hate that. He also used the phrase "to my knowledge"
Or to the
a lot.
best of my knowledge.
Or to the best of my knowledge, which means he's not quite sure about the answer. And if there's one thing when you're talking to a C-level executive that they do not like, it's people who aren't sure of what's happening. He's asking you a question of what is happening by prefacing it with to my knowledge means you're not sure. It could be something completely different. The system could be up or it could be down.
All right, let's throw it back down to the floor for West Virginia University. Jim is coming up.
Excellent.
Hi. What's your name?
Jim Manthai?
Jim?
Yes.
My name is Dr. Toregas. I'm the CEO for the 8 Hospital Consortium. And you are from West Virginia
Yes, I am.
hospital, aren't you?
Yes.
So I got to find you, first of all. I have no idea where my hospitals are. You know, I kind of got so many all over the place. Yeah, I think I found you here on my corporate assets map. So West Virginia Hospital is an important one to me. And I usually wouldn't come to talk to you because I got 8 of them to run, and I'm usually in California enjoying the good life. But I got a bad news phone call last night.
Okay.
And so I jumped on the corporate jet and I came over. Why? Because I got a problem, and my problem is sitting in front of me.
Yes.
If I understand it right, Jim, we had a lot of problems. I got this gobbledygook here, and I'm hoping that you can explain it all to me.
Absolutely.
Ping failed and timed out waiting for ICMP response, and everything seems to be like crashing in all these key systems. So I began on my long flight over here to think, so what's important to me? Wow. Keeping costs down is important. Keeping profits high is very important to me. And keeping our patients healthy and happy is important to me.
Absolutely.
And something tells me that I got a problem in all 3 categories. So take it easy, take it slow, and let me know what's happening.
Okay, it started off out of the gate. Most of our systems were down from when we start, from the get-go. We had firewall issues, which caused most of our services not to be available to the customer. We also had some application firewalls for the local OSs in the systems were down and misconfigured as well. We also had one system that was compromised. The OpenGTS system was compromised out of the gate as well. OpenEMR systems were unable to communicate with each other, so the database was not able to be accessed.
Are there any good news in all this?
Yes, Squid system was working.
Wait a minute.
We also,
Am I running an aquarium here?
no.
You did say
The
squid, didn't
yes,
you?
the proxy was working.
Proxy.
Yes, the
Can you
proxy.
tell me what that is?
It's allowing us to communicate with the outside.
So the system that allows you to communicate with the outside world isn't running.
It was working.
Was working.
Yes.
Well, that's the happy news.
Yes, and also we had one arrest and one suspect's IP address blocked.
So what happened last night?
We came up with a contingency plan to bring up the operations, and we're executing them currently. Part of that was restore the ASA firewall, configure it, which had just been done when I have this meeting. We also have OpenEMR, both of them, database and the web application, swapped over to a new platform, a Linux one, and that's currently being up and put up again. We also have OpenGTS being restored, and it's up and running again. And we have the DNS, or the domain server, working secure. There's been no problems with that server at all.
So things are beginning to look up. Is that what you're telling me?
Yes, they're improving.
I understood that there was some kind of physical break-in last night. Did
Yes.
that happen in West Virginia
It
University?
did, but we have been able to overcome all of it.
Well, that's good news. That's good news. So all this stuff that maybe I shouldn't have come. Is there no problem then?
There's problems, but we're
There are
the
problems?
fires. Yes,
What
we
kind
still
of problems?
we still have some power issues with our SCADA controller.
Power issues.
Yes,
Last time I checked, computers need power.
yes.
So
But we've
that
been
means
able
our
to
computers
mitigate.
don't work?
Only 2 are down out of 6
Huh.
or 8.
You just can't get power to them?
Now we're working on a contingency plan
Wow.
to overcome the SCADA controller.
Can you just plug it into the wall?
We don't have an outlet at our disposal right now.
Go get yourself one. Tell me, can I do anything to help you?
You're doing all you can.
Uh-huh.
Keeping pressure on us to make sure we still do our job, keeping us alert. We're doing all we can. I know I reorganized everyone's roles last night.
Uh-huh.
I reorganized the inject response team. Also reorganized the incident management team, as well as start to sign one person to the Windows applications and reconfigure the Linux team a little bit.
Well, I think I better stick around and make sure that West Virginia Hospital is back up and running. I mean, I know that 2 doesn't sound like a lot, but 25% of my capacity
Is down.
being down sounds terrifying to me, especially if it's systems that control life or death situations. So I'm going to stay, and I'd like you to come back here to my office in 3 hours.
3 hours?
And I want you to have for me a memo that lays out the remediation strategy that you're pursuing in 2 of the most critical systems that you think I'll be interested in.
Okay.
The 2 highest priority systems. I've given you my own approach. And you know, I got a board of directors that's pushing me to complete this electronic medical record modernization and kind of pulling the records together and network the 8 hospitals together. Anything you can do to help me there, I'd be very much appreciative.
Absolutely.
And then you mentioned that you had to shift some organizational roles.
Yes.
Maybe if you had more people, that might be a little bit easier to do. So do me a second memo if you wouldn't mind.
Okay.
Write a memo that I can take up the corporate ladder to HR, the human resources people, and tell me of any skill sets you're missing
Okay.
that you'd like to have, or
Absolutely.
any kinds of roles that you'd like fulfilled that you don't currently have for this competition. I'd like to know that.
Okay.
Jim, it sounds like you had a lot of adversity, but at least what you're telling me is that you're doing a better job preserving your direction forward, so I like that. Anything else that you want to share with me?
We are utilizing the resource we have. We are down 6 members, but that's no excuse.
Okay. All right.
All right.
I'll see you in 3 hours
Okay.
then.
Thank you.
Keep those systems running.
Absolutely.
And we're back. I believe we're going to now have a conversation with Costis as to how things are going. When we went through the first 8 interviews, I know I've got some thoughts on how I thought the teams are doing so far. Maybe we can cut to Costis and get his take on, I guess, Costis, if you can hear me, I want to know what you think about the team's communication skills with upper management so far.
You know, I'm comparing it with last year, and some of the viewers saw last year's events as well. I think they're far better composed this year than they were last year. Perhaps the word's out, they've prepared a little bit better for this kind of business and management aspect. But the one killer in all of those is I've tried to sneak it in towards the end. I ask them, anything more you want to tell me? And that's kind of the big gaping hole so far. Very few people, maybe one person, has used that as an entry point to higher management. That's the weakness that I've seen. Other than that, I've been very much pleasantly impressed with the performance so far.
Now, Costis, how do you feel about the teams that are using the words "to my knowledge," "kinda," and "as soon as possible"?
Well, these are obviously beautiful setups for what happens 3 hours from now, because I can come back and really hammer them very hard. I've tried not to kind of explode with a repeated use of those terms. You're right; they're unacceptable in business parlance. But I've also tried to give a little bit of leeway for a learning curve here. So tune in the afternoon, because that's when the reality hits the fan, as it were.
Now, what is your reaction to the teams that have offered up apologies for what has happened to their IT systems?
They have basically gone through, and I've ignored them intellectually and also in my response to them. There was one that kept on saying, you know, yesterday was a beautiful day, and I tried also to remind him that yesterday was yesterday, but it doesn't matter today in the business world. But perhaps this reflects a training flaw in our universities, that somehow we tell people to consider offering apologies, because in the business world, an apology is not very useful. If you're unapologetic, it doesn't matter. The question is, are you going to be able to solve the problem?
So several of the teams, when you asked them about critical systems and data, told you that the information wasn't leaked. What do you think about asking them for a little more detail in that area and asking them how they can be so sure that the data hasn't been leaked?
You know, just in retrospect and perhaps food for thought for subsequent years, this is one area where it would be good to have a technical person from our team here, the technical team here, be able to provide almost instant feedback saying this isn't the case or this is what happened and so on, because right now I don't have enough information, practical information, with which to push back on them. You notice in a couple of instances I try to make the distinction between data being taken and hackers being inside and kind of watching patiently. But you're right, in that area, again, coming off now my role playing, I wish that I had some more practical information about what has actually happened in the systems while the conversation's unfolding. Most of the times the CEO doesn't have that benefit. The CEO usually will meet with the CIO one-on-one, and therefore he won't have that benefit of what really happened.
Right.
Food for thought.
Now, some of the teams didn't know, the CIO of their organization didn't know the status of the incident that's currently occurring in different aspects of that. How much of a point deduction in your mind is that for the CIO level people?
Well, again, my bottom line is profits, keeping costs down and keeping patients healthy.
You said that it was patient safety, low cost, and high profit, and that jets are very expensive, which I really liked. That was very nice, very nice.
So, in my own mind, the first phase that we've just been through is the setting up phase. I don't necessarily grade, as it were, this phase, but I prepare for the afternoon discussion. In the afternoon discussion, all is at play. People that didn't do well in the morning can, in fact, overcome that negative impression.
Yeah, what's the top one or two things you expect from the teams when they come back later this afternoon?
Well, succinct business case propositions, writing skills, and I'm going to get some more kind of technical advice as team by team as to where some of the statements they made may not have been accurate, so I can come back and zing them with that.
Very nice. Thank you very much, Costis,
Right.
for the update. We look forward to this afternoon. Right now, we're going to provide you with a scoring update. John, how are we doing on the scores?
All right, so here's the scores. We have a couple of teams that have experienced some intense technical difficulties whenever it comes to uptime. So if we start at the bottom and work our way up, right now it appears the Capital College is in last place uptime scores with 866,000 points. Their uptime is fairly abysmal. Their system seems to be down. University of Maryland in Baltimore is at 7th place with 639,000. 6th place is Howard. Then we have 5th place with West Virginia. James Madison is currently in 4th with uptime. Radford is in 3rd. Townsend is 2nd, and Millersville is in 1st. However, we do expect these numbers to shift dramatically. Millersville just came into a catastrophic failure of their virtual machine environment. So these numbers will change. And also remember, these numbers in these places do not include the business injects and some of the other tasks like incident response reports that the teams will be filling out, Paul.
Excellent. We're getting ready to cut to a break here in just a minute, but first I wanted to introduce the sponsor videos. So this afternoon, you'll be hearing from all of our sponsors who have produced videos that talk about their company and talk about maybe some of the recruiting that their companies are doing. So look for that during the breaks this afternoon in between our wrap-up and the top of the hour. We'll, of course, be back at the top of the hour with updates on all the happenings here at the Mid-Atlantic CCDC competition. Thanks, everyone.